People that lived back on Earth used to travel in commercial airliners, flying across the skies as if it were a regular occurrence. Hundreds of passengers flying to and fro across the globe. Entire complexes that made up airports, welcoming visitors to cities of millions. For me, I thought the only way that I'd ever lift off again was if we left Tellus, or if I joined the ragtag militia. It was strange to feel the thunderous engines uprooting us from the ground, nerve-wracking even. I gripped my harness with apprehension, while Cherize kept a keen eye on Gress. Jouvre had been strapped to the Krev's chest to prevent the Ober from sliding around during takeoff. As we cleared the atmosphere, I took a look at the sandy landmass of the planet below. It was a barren image compared to the luscious span of Earth. To think that sphere was so gigantic, yet we'd only settled a tiny patch of its dirt. I couldn't imagine humanity ever growing enough to conquer a circumference like that again. Given that it had taken 12,000 years to reach our old population numbers, our recovery wasn't something that would happen in any of our lifetimes. I laughed bitterly to myself, thinking about the young, able-bodied victims from the mining incident. There was always something ensuring we couldn't grow our numbers in peace. "What's so funny?" Gress asked, as he waited for the warp drive to complete its startup sequence. I pursed my lips. Everything we have is nothing. Nothing in the grand scheme of things. I got this job by being good at kissing folks' asses. It felt good when I let myself go. This trip on Eivor, it's going to be the last fucking time I suck up to anyone. I'm done pretending done talking. I want to take some tangible action. Gress. Well, we could always use more bodies in the military, in case our favorite group of aliens comes knocking. If it weren't for my daughter, I might have joined up myself. I've never been much of a fighter, but there's other things I could do. Maybe it's worth it to be put on the reserve. I don't want to be idle, should anyone threaten Lekka's safety. Your story shows how dangerous the Federation is. True that. Those no-good ass clowns were more of a threat to us than we ever were to them. Played judge, jury, and executioner Cherice tilted her head, brow furrowed in thought. Say, how the fuck did you think we were with the Federation when we didn't torch the wildlife? You hid yourselves underground. How did we know you weren't cleansing the caverns down there? Gress protested as the ship slipped into subspace. The Krev then unclipped Jouvre, who clapped his grubby mitts together with delight. Humans made a point of obscuring every detail of your lives. For all we knew, you were amassing weapons on our doorstep. The Reskets wanted to barge in and find out what you were up to by force or capture one of you. Why didn't you? Taylor and I would have been easy targets when we went up to meet you. Again, we didn't want open hostilities with the Federation. The Krev hoped that you would move on. And why did they believe you could bring that about? I asked. You said they chose you for the position because they trusted you to put an end to the saga. It wasn't your first time driving people from their homes. Taylor, I was a hostage negotiator with the police force in Eivor's capital. I was involved in an infamous situation with some high-profile individuals and angry, relocated jazzlips. I'd prefer not to talk about it any further. Fine. We're just trying to get to know you. Any other subject, please. This one awful incident took my marriage, my sanity, and it's the reason I see my kid once every other weekend. It's a sore spot. Cherice unclipped her harness, popping her joints. I'm sorry, Gress. Of course, we'll respect your desire to avoid the subject. Maybe we should talk about the other Krev Consortium species. Yeah, those Reskets sound interesting. I'm fixing to hear what they're about, I offered. We don't even know what they look like, or any pitfalls we could encounter when we see them on Eivor. Gress moved Jouvre to his shoulder, tickling the Ober's chin. Sure thing. I can hear my precious darling's tummy rumbling. Are either of you hungry? We can go to the dining area and get some food. That depends if you're going to serve up dried insects. I'd rather eat rubber. I have other things. There's these Krev fruits called noskberries. They look like little tubes. Very sweet. Jouvre loves them. He can fit them over his pinky finger and suck on them. It's like a candy to him. Shit, you had me sold at candy, Cherise chuckled. It's been way too long. I still remember Halloween, trick-or-treating for candy, door to door, until our baskets were full to the brim, given out by total strangers. A day of such wholesome innocence, I smirked to myself. You left out the part where we'd dress up in spooky costumes. I remember dressing up as a dinosaur. I'm certainly glad that sweet berries are up your alley and bringing up fond memories, Gress interjected. I'm sure Krev would be very happy to pass out sugary things to human kids if they wanted to go door to door on Avor, any time of the year. Please, come with me. I'll go over the other 4 consortium species during prep time. Cherise and I tailed after the green-scaled mammal, who seemed delighted to be feeding us, a far cry to how the Federation would have felt at the mere thought we'd ever have to eat. I'd wager Gress would happily spoon-feed us if we asked, given how apparent his enjoyment of pampering Jouvre was. It was strange to be doted on with such intensity, though I imagined it was how the Venlil felt about our affection toward fluffy things. My mind was still a bit stuck on what the Krev had commented about his old profession as a hostage negotiator. If this was a famous incident, I might be able to pry the details out of others on Avor without forcing him to relive it. However, given that he was something of a friend, I was uncertain if that was a breach of privacy. The fact that the Krev would think to send a hostage negotiator to collect the supplies from ES is telling. It's like they saw their very space as a hostage, which needed to be pried free. It also tips off that their species is capable of unprey-like premeditated violence. So, where to start? The fundamental premise of the consortium is that each species contributes something to our preparations for the day when the Federation comes around, Gress remarked as he began rummaging through the cabinets. We've turned the homeworlds into hopefully impenetrable fortresses, growing an army as quickly as possible to meet a massive force, signal-dampening cages. We don't have such measures in surrounding systems to minimize the risk of detection. If you join the consortium, we'll want to upgrade. Tellus Security, Cherise raised her eyebrows. We'll take all the help we can get warding off the Federation, or more preferably boatloads of assistance hiding ourselves. Of course, we know if they see that we're hiding you humans, a species they believe they wiped out, it'd make the consortium their #1 enemy. It's in our best interest that you stay off the radar, especially if they find out about your escape and come looking. It's our mission to protect innocent races like you, so fret not. We won't forsake you in your time of need. Like I've said before, any human refugees that want to join us or start an enclave on Avor, you'll have sanctuary. I appreciate that, Gress, but as you well know, we're concerned with maintaining our culture. Rebuilding our numbers, I said. Splitting up the colony with how close we are to the minimum viable population. It's not a good idea. We might be able to help with that. I know it's not a decision you can make alone, but we have ectogenesis chambers, artificial wombs. Perhaps if you're comfortable with it, Krev could raise some human children and teach them your culture. It would shorten the duration needed to expand your numbers.